Welcome to Tales of Hope, where every paw print counts. Animal tie in the house, spreading love, hear the sounds. Every week animal stories, right and welfare in the mix. Step up, take action, we're giving animals a fix. Tales of Hope, raise your voice, make some noise. Change the game for every animal, girl and boy. One world, one fight, let's turn the page. A future for the voiceless, bring hope to center stage.
A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody, wherever you're listening today on the Tales of Hope podcast. Today, we have a very wonderful person, Timmie Kumar, who is a managing trustee for one of the rescue organizations in Jaipur. She is a passionate animal advocate, and the organization that she works with has been the pioneer for camel rescue in Rajasthan. Timmie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much, Anand. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Timmie, let's get started with the first question would be, you were working for animal long before it became a mainstream cause in India. What early experiences shaped your deep empathy for animals?
Anand, for me, I think as far as I can remember, I was born to probably work with animals. And, I had my childhood years before I could even know what I was. My father was in Madhya Pradesh and we had manganese mines and we had a little house on top of a hill, a house with, those terracotta tiles. And I remember we used to have langurs coming and we had a water tank out on, cement water tank, which these langurs used to come and bathe. We used to have snakes crawling around the place because just beyond the house was a jungle. And I used to see scorpions and, I was never brought up with a fear with these animals, though I was the youngest of my family. And I just loved watching them and, and I didn't know that I'm going to, and I used to dream as I started growing, I used to dream that, I'll have my own animal farm and I'll take care of animals. And that was it. And then I was in a boarding school in Nagpur and, and I remember it was an Anglo-Indian lady who was running this boarding school. It was a private boarding school. And I was in the fields when I saw a young boy picking up a little piglet and hitting it on the rock. Oh my God. And that picture has never disappeared from my mind. It was my turning. I just wanted to protect every animal since that day. And even, dogs which used to be a little snappy and bite, and they would say, he might be. I didn't know what rabies was that time. And I would pick them up and bring them to the dog. And it went on and then moved back to Bombay and this whole story went on since. So I think I was born to work with animals and I think this is my calling.
I think it is, all of us, we have this natural calling that we believe all living beings deserve the same dignity and respect as humans. That's what I guess, people that I've been meeting up and talking to, I think they all had their calling, coming somewhere or the other when they feel that it has to be done now. Now, you have worked...
And I kind of believe otherwise. I think, sorry.
No, please go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying that I feel the connection with animals for me is more than what I connect with humans. So,
no, absolutely true.
No, and I mean it because I see it in my own surrounding. And, I remember a few months back, my husband asked me, what is it that you want now in life? So I said, we live in a joint family. I have 2 sons, daughters-in-law, my mother-in-law. We all live together. And so many times I've told them that I've asked my children, I said, the boys are both married. I said, why don't you live on your own? So they said, no, what's your problem? We want to stay with you. So then I tell my husband, the only thing which I want is I want a place where I can have all my dogs sleeping on my bed and around me. Now with 2 little grandchildren I have, to have so many dogs in the house is not possible. So they still come in and out, and everybody keeps quiet because everyone knows that, if they want peace in the house, nobody says anything to my dogs, no matter what they may do or not do. So that is it. That's what it is.
Absolutely. No, because we have the same situation out here. I don't know whether I should say this or not. Me and my wife, we had to move out of my mother's house because of the dogs, because my mother being aged and she's not very comfortable. And we have three of our own. Two are rescued. And the third one was just last Christmas we got her. I finally had to bring her home because somebody just drove a car over her and it was a very bad state. But fortunately enough, by the grace of Almighty, she is healthy, happy, and kicking and fine at this point in time.
Oh, how wonderful, how wonderful.
So this is something that I think, like you said, people like us, we are more comfortable with people who have empathy and understand animals' suffering and pain. I was just recently, just about 2 weeks back, I was interviewing one of the guests, Dr. Cliff Redford, and he is also known by Dr. Worldwide Wed. And he said, Anil, the only reason I agreed to come on the show was because I could connect with you, with the animals, because the way you do things and, the empathy that you share. Otherwise, he's like, I am a very less human person, like you also said, connecting with humans is a bit difficult for us nowadays.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Moving forward, you worked with animals as varied as monkeys, snakes, bears, camels, and street dogs. What's the one unforgettable encounter that reaffirmed your purpose?
Oh, I have many such encounters. But, I'm living in Bombay. I even had a pet monkey in the house, which my brother very impulsively bought a baby macaque. And then we had one of those, and not a very big flat, how Bombay is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like a small 2-bedroom home with 1 bedroom and 1 little hall. And I remember this, and we had those high slanting roofs in Kulaba, those old buildings. And this monkey used to kind of jump around the whole place. So, and I remember I used to actually put him on a leash and take him for a walk.
Wow.
On Cup Parade, and people used to find it very funny. But similarly, we had squirrels when I was in Madhya Pradesh. My sister had a squirrel who used to play with the other squirrels and come and sleep with us in our home at night. And then the whole day my mother could watch her playing with other squirrels, So grown up with stuff. So many such encounters of. Then I had this lovely dog called Ram Pyale, who was 14 pups, which we had rescued.
Wow.
And they were going to die. And in our shelter, one of my predecessors said that they're too young, the mothers are dead. They were poisoned during some festival time. And there were 15 of them. And they said that, Timmie, we'll have to euthanize them because they're anyway going to die. So I said, no, I don't believe in euthanizing animals. So I brought them all home and I took my husband's study bathroom in the big tub. I put towels, it was January. And the first one died at night because he was very deformed and odd. But all 14, I took it as a challenge. And believe you me, for 1 month, I didn't move out of my house, only making sure the pups were clean and we'd put hot water bottles and old towels and stuff. And
Timmie, I lost you out there. Timmie, I lost you out there when you were saying for a month that you were taking care of the babies. So you can do that again. Don't worry about anything because at the end of the show, again, I will sit down and edit. So it will be perfectly fine.
So that's all right. So what happened was that for 1 month, I didn't move out because the pups were about 2.5 weeks old. Because I knew if I didn't feed them every 2 hours, they would die. And some of them were actually also got loose motions and stuff. So I took them back to my charity and I told my vets that please put them on a drip. So they said they're too tiny to be, you're fighting against nature. They're going to die one by one. I said, listen, you guys, just do what I ask you to do. And believe you and me, all 14 survive. Mother Nature tells you that you do your work and I'll hold your hand. That's what I believe in. And for me, they're not people of God, they're God for me. Because Anil, when I'm in trouble, I pray to them. And they always protect me.
To be honest,
this is it.
This is such an inspiring story for people who would be listening to have faith. It is. Yeah. And, if your inner voice tells you that it is going to happen, just go with it. Especially when it comes to rescuing these pups. It's not only with these puppies, but I guess with all sort of animals, if you have a little empathy and you have that faith that yes, it will work. These are the kind of stories which people, need to listen to. Timmie, are you with me? Timmie, I lost you again.
This one, and nobody want to repeat. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I think I again lost you. I lost you again. Yeah.
I'm going to get to my phone. It's going to be in the just a second. I'm connecting it to my.
Yeah. I think we're back again. I think we're back.
Sorry, I think we've been having a lot of problems with the...
No. Please, Timmie, please don't apologize. Sorry.
All right, I won't. So what happened was this last pup, when twice she got adopted and twice she was returned. So I said, maybe she's meant for me. And believe you and me, she became my lucky charm. And my driver decided that we will name her Ram Pyari.
Wow.
So Ram Pyari was actually my lucky charm.
Perfect.
We lived in an apartment in the hotel on the 5th floor. And Ram Pyari would run up the stairs, 5th floor. And I never actually locked my door because, when you're staying in your own hotel, so she would just barge into the room. And at times, when there were guests by the pool and they were sitting and lounging and, when they were shifting chairs, there was a function and she would be looking from left to right, almost as though you felt that she was watching a match in Wimbledon, knocking her head from one side to the other. But Ram Pyari was taken by the guests to their room sometimes. And she was not a tiny little dog, a big Indie. And I had 7 Indie dogs, and one by one, one lived for 17 and a half years. One died at the age of 18. And I've had other pedigree dogs as well who I got as gifts. But Ram Pyari was a living legend. People loved her, some people. And, she would roam around the whole campus of the hotel. She was never leashed. And whenever my husband said that, there are too many guests today, you need to lock her in. I said, but she's your lucky charm. She's the one who brings all the business in. So how can you lock her up? And she was. So when I built my house next to the hotel, she was actually knew I was building my house and she was actually supervised the whole thing. She was hanging out here. And whenever I rescued or fostered pups, she actually would look after them and watch out that, they are. So she was, I really missed her. So we started a product line for help and suffering called the Ram Pyari Collection. And we still sell this merchandise. As Ram Pyari Collection.
Wow, it's such an inspiring story.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's quite a crazy story, but that is it. Yeah.
No, but this is...
So, there were... Yes.
No, I said these are the inspiring stories people need to listen and understand,
Yeah.
Now, when you became the first Indian woman to lead help in suffering, what personal challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
So to be honest, I had never run a charity. I was just loved animals. And I used to love animals stupidly without reading about it, without Googling about what's that time there was no Google probably 40 years ago. But there were other stuff, and I always thought so. This was 25 years ago, but I remember when I got married in from Bombay, I shifted to Agra when my first child was about 2.5, 3 years old. Stupidly, I'd called bear dancer, this slot bear and the monkey, the macaques, those madaris. And it became a trend in Agra. Everybody started because probably amongst my friend, I was one of the earlier ones to get married. And when I got to know what goes behind the scenes, I have never lived that guilt down. That I call myself an animal lover, and how could I be a part of such cruelty? And then I started my advocacy against, snake charmers and, bear dancers. And, so to tell you honestly, Anil, whoever's working for animals anywhere in the world, I feel they're doing it for me. I don't feel that any other charity is like we are in competition, or why somebody giving them donation and not to me. No, I feel as long as animals are being helped by anyone, I can't help everybody. So the more people who get into this, the merrier it is for all of us. Believe you in me, from my heart, I want more people to start their organizations. So a lot of individuals, when they need our support, I do it quietly because I feel everyone needs to be encouraged. So people sometimes call me that, we are feeding animals, but we don't have food. Or we can't afford medical aid, or sometimes my charity have to decide it will be expensive. I said, never mind. I will pay for it, but don't refuse anyone, because it just feels, since we've not come into this world with anything empty-handed, and why not spend it for a good purpose while I'm here, rather than buying more clothes and more jewelry and more of everything else. I feel we need to help more animals.
Absolutely. You rightly, there was a statement that you rightly made. The more the merrier. I believe the same thing. I don't see any NGO as in competition with each other, because all the people that I have been meeting, they've all been with the same concept. It's like the more the merrier, because not everybody can reach everywhere. And I also believe that it is all of us, we have to come together and stand as one, because coming from the corporate culture that I have been, I've always believed if you bring small boats together, you can make a bigger ship.
Yes, you're so right.
So that is what I have always believed. But unfortunately, there are some people who I have come across as well. It's more of it's more of photo op and all that. That's what they are into, rather than actually being on ground. Because for me, I don't know whether, I normally don't like saying it. I don't put more on social media of what I do in terms of taking care of the 6 kids in my mother's compound and 3 at my home. What I have, 1 or 2 of them are rescues. Because I'll be very honest, I believe from my father, had always had this concept. He used to always say, "Jitni chadar ho, pair utne mein hi, utna hi phailao." So for me, this is what my pocket can afford, which is between me, my wife, and my mom. We all do. This is what we do, and we don't like to do a show off of it. This is what I do. That's it. I mean, yes, I would love to do more, but I know my pocket can afford at this point in time. This is what it can do. So
Wonderful.
I stick to that.
Yeah, but that's what never mind how much the pocket can do, but a heart can do much more.
Yes.
And I think that is what is most important.
Yeah,
And,
that is what I've been trying to do. I mean, in terms of the other ways, that there are about 3 NGOs that I work with closely. We just released a book also, which is on Amazon, where we worked out that the proceeds of the royalty would go towards the NGO in terms of for their fundraise sort of thing. So that is what I do as my part of giving back to the community.
So that's great. That's great because, I think me as my children have grown up with dogs and they all also do their bit and they know. So, there was a time a few years ago we went through a bad patch at our charity because from the time it was started way before I joined Help and Suffering, started 45 years ago by an English lady. And she used to, travel in a rickshaw and just collect animals and not just So one day my accountant comes to tell me, and he comes to meet me and he says, "Ma'am, we have money only till end of September." And this he tells me around July. And he said, "October, we don't have money even to pay salaries." And we had 75 employees.
Wow.
So I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Why did you tell this?" Because I'm not a finance person. I'm a heart person, not so much of a, number person. And so then we had a piece of land which my predecessor had bought. And we decided to sell that to kind of at least see us through a couple of years. And then my husband said, "You can't run charities like that." So he pulled in some money. And believe you and me, brokers started coming in. We started negotiating the rates. And then donors gradually started sending, our old donors started sending us. And touch wood, this happened about 4 years ago. And now we are sort of comfortable, but we still run, we don't have any kind of funds which are stacked away. We do it day to day, but things are happening. I finally found myself a good fundraiser, a very clever lady. And very, very committed, So now we've started humane education. We managed to get a nice piece of land. And my dream before I die is to build another hospital for animals, a state of the art, a small one, but nice. So you won't believe, to get land from the government is impossible, but I got land from the previous government. And it's literally, what would you say, a cherry piece of land. And we've done, and he even built the boundary wall and gave a bureaucrat helping us do that. So I feel it's all angels who are doing. You only become the medium.
Yes.
It's the animals who are making it happen. So I never believe that I'm doing anything. I'm just being led by all these beautiful nature and energies coming together. As long as you're honest to what you do,
yes,
it all comes together. Literally, I've noticed it just happens, and it happens every day. Then I had somebody who came from the US and who gave us a chunk. So now I've got seed money to start working on the hospital. But we started human education now. So, I feel that nothing with all the problem which is happening with the dogs and, in NCR, Delhi and Rajasthan and everywhere, I don't know what's happening to our judiciary. But anyway, here we're not to discuss any politics.
Absolutely.
But to tell you honestly that, things will happen. And sometimes when things are beyond your control, you again leave it to Mother Nature. And you said, you're going to handle it. And you have to think about these innocent animals, angels. And it's going to happen. It'll happen.
It will.
You have to be positive. You have to be completely, you cannot be a pessimist.
Yes.
I'm an optimist, and that's the only way to live life.
Absolutely. You just pulled the right words. There are so many things you mentioned, like we just being the medium, of getting the things done for them. I think all these angels, what you've said, we're just the medium. And apart from that, the most important aspect, what you said, we all need to have hope and be optimistic that things will all fall in place. Because I think, I believe if God has created this, universe with all the beings in there, I think he cannot go wrong. If he has put all these, animals, birds, every species that is there, it is there for a reason. And I think to question his creation is something we humans are losing touch with humanity. That's what I believe.
Yeah, we are losing touch with humanity. We're losing touch with reality. We are insensitive to nature. We are insensitive to trees and plants. I sometimes go, when you go to these, not that I go, but if you enter a nice shop and it's got plants, beautiful fancy shop from inside, but plants are dead, nobody's watered them, they're wilting. I have to actually literally tell them that either don't keep them or take care of them as your children. I said, how can you leave? How can you build a fancy shop like this and you let the... It feels terrible to sermonize to people, but my heart breaks because actually I feel the plant is speaking to me and say, do something for me. So,
Yes.
So just, it's crazy also to be so sensitive to things because it gives you sleepless nights and drives you crazy. I know in our garden, it's going wild. I don't want my garden to be looking like prune garden or going to some fancy park. No, I want it to be natural. I want lots of birds. I don't mind trees which are not very exotic. And, I want the natural trees which attract birds and bees. And I feel very happy when I see beehives in my campus. And I said, oh God, now they're 7, now they're 9. And, bees also going extinct because of the chemicals you use nowadays.
Absolutely.
So it's sad, but constantly you see different species of birds. So my little grandson, who's 2 years old, first thing he ran on the terrace and see pigeon, squirrel, a squeal, something he'll call it. And I said, good that they're getting exposed. And I said, if you're a kind person and you're connected to animals, you have to be a good human being.
Very true. You've rightly said that. Now, your early activism focused on ending the use of performing animals. What forms of cruelty in this area still persist today, and how can we finally end them?
Anil, it's very difficult to end cruelty because, because animal use. Okay, now people are, circuses, at least it's now not using animals unless they're doing it in the slam. But the zoos are a very cruel place. And, working animals like, now you don't have bullock carts, but you have, the camels. Now camels, the population is reduced by more than 70% in the last 24 years that I've been here. We used to go to Pushkar Melas and we put up a camp every year. Even we still put up camps for a week there, treating animals and equines and other animals. But it used to be a treat to go to Pushkar Mela. And now you go to the Pushkar fairs, it's last 7-8 years. It's plastic, it's dust, it's junk. There are hardly any camels, there are more equines, and there is no joy. There is no Mela. It's all rubbish and dust. There used to be beautiful, there used to be good tourists, there used to be beautiful shops, and, interesting people, the Rajasthani women walking around and lovely camel owners who had great pride in the animals. But no, they're selling them because now you don't need everything got mechanized. There are, tractors and jeeps and stuff like that. How many people? They only use them at these camels are used at brick kilns and or for stone carrying, and it's sad. And women are the ones actually take those camel carts, and our team goes to different areas and different localities and do it, every day, Monday in Chaksu or Tuesday in Kanota or different. And people come there and they're happy. We give them free medication, we give them reflectors, we do deworming, little bit of counseling. So people know our veterinary doctors in our team, and they feel happy. And there are times when the camel has really been overworked. Sometimes we even spend little money to buy the camel off, because we know that sooner or later it's going to break its limb or going to die. So things like that. So it's always, but no matter how much you do, it's just a very small bit. But I feel that, I remember when we would go for these conferences or the places where there's another German lady who works with camels in Udaipur. And I met these amazing men, the Raika tribe, who said, ma'am, why don't you ask the chief minister to make camel shalas like the gaushalas? But you see the condition of some of the gaushalas.
That's a sad
horrible. Yeah, so, it is sad that it's just, even if you say that you're spending money, but if you don't have proper trained people, if they're not educated and they don't know how to run a gaushala, it is more cruelty than kindness. Believe you and me, it is really, really. So there are some very good NGOs. There's some fake ones. So what happens is they judge everyone with the same glasses, which is, again, extremely, extremely sad. A lot of people are doing excellent work in animal welfare all over the country. There are great organizations, but it's just that municipality has to work in partnership with NGOs. But unfortunately, the so-called holding those posts in the government, your egos become larger than life. Our whole Gita is based on if you get the meh out of your system or the I, life would be so much happier for everybody.
You absolutely pull the right words. There are two things which I really enjoyed what you said. Just because of few bad apples, the good apples are getting slaughtered out. And what you said, most of the municipalities across the country need to identify the good NGOs, what you rightly said, because I have been coming across a lot of good NGOs who are genuinely doing what they are meant to do in terms of, because the people running it have the empathy and passion for animals. So I think what you rightly said is, the government needs to identify this and join hands. And, what we see the problems, if I'm not mistaken, at least 70 to 80% of the problems would just vanish, over the course of time.
Absolutely. And, Help and Suffering has been working with animals for 45 years in Rajasthan. And still to get a little certificate to say that, we've been doing animal birth control, and we brought down the dog, our team of vets, brilliant vets, we brought down the dog population by 70% in last 32, 33 years. And our documentation is so perfect because we have an English vet who's volunteered with us for more than 30 years and our Indian veterinary team who works with this guidance. So, the discipline of a English vet and the skill of our Indian vets is a fabulous combination. And the hard work. We'd almost made Jaipur rabies free. But nobody wants to talk to us. They won't give us appointments. And even a simple document saying that we are doing a great program, we say you can come and inspect our work any day. You see our documentation, our ABC veterinary team, their work Their papers have been documented in international veterinary magazines.
Wow.
But no, we will not, we will not give you a little certificate that you're doing, that we are in knowledge of your work. They want you to pick up all the dogs and put them in a pound. And I said, I'm sorry, that's against the law. We can't do it.
Absolutely.
But it's impossible to get across to people. And then we realized we just continue doing our work and we're not even asking them for funds because there are different organizations who are funding us. And fortunately now, good corporates, earlier we had very little, about 30% Indian funding. Now good corporates have started, sponsoring small bits of money for different projects we do.
Projects, yes.
And which is excellent because, we have people come in who inspect our team and we are transparent and we do not believe in any sort of kickbacks or anything. Literally, you see what you do, you like it, fine. But everyone knows that even 5 rupees of my charity money, which my donors have trusted us, will be misused for it. And our entire team believes in it, and I'm nothing compared because the real hard work is our team. It's an excellent, excellent team, and
Absolutely.
They work.
It's the team and
of them we have.
Wow! It is the team and the people, and that is what makes the organization. I believe that's the heartbeat. If your heartbeat is perfect with the team, I think everybody is in sync. Now, cruelty often hides behind tradition or economic necessity. How do you engage with communities to create change without alienating them?
It's very difficult in a country like ours, where it's got such a diverse culture, and people hide behind this traditions and rituals and stuff like that. And that is why the humane education comes in at a very young age. And I feel sensitizing children, and in a lot of schools, they don't have moral science. At least I remember when we went to school, moral science was a very important subject.
Absolutely.
Community service was a very important part of our education in Bombay. We used to go, when I was in the class 5th, we used to go to Nariman Point, which was just a pier. There was no Oberoi's, nothing. And there were little slums out there, and we used to go and work with children. And it used to give us so much pride that, I'm all of 10, 11, 12 years old, and I can also help children who are my age or younger than me and help them with, whether doing crafts with them or, playing with them or, making different drawings or educating them collectively and doing fun things. It just makes you grow as a human. I feel it's not literacy, it's not all just getting the best marks in class or topic. I was a very average student, and I just feel that your success has got nothing to do with your marks. Being a good human being is more important than being and believe you me, I've seen the people who really did brilliantly have not been so successful. Because success comes from your goodness, your heart, kindness, compassion, humility. I think these are the greatest virtues anyone can have.
Absolutely. And I think no school can teach you that. It is something that either you inculcate them from your family values and the people you surround yourself with. I think today in India, you rightly said, we don't have social science or the kind of, moral science that we used to have back earlys and 70s and 80s. So today, I think we are so mechanical, we become so mechanical about everything that for a lot of people, success is all about what is my status, what is the car I drive. And what you rightly said, people who were not so good, because even I was not good. I was a last bencher always. Come what may, I was always a last bencher. And I believe, it's just naturally with the family, and given my experience with the corporate and traveling across the world, about 3/4 of the world, and dealing with different cultures, I think I have over the years developed a lot of things, because I came, I've seen what Buddhism says, I've seen what Africa says, I see what Islam has said, because I've traveled to Middle East even, and apart from that, Europe even. So I've seen different cultures, and I have come across people from, across the country, and most of them, the common thing was empathy and compassion towards, your fellow being. These are two things, if you come up with it, if you do it rightly, and if it comes to you naturally without trying to, put a mask and say I'm compassionate, but deep inside you're not.
Yeah, it's only your actions, your actions speak louder than your words. So the idea is that, if you can't be kind and compassionate, but don't be cruel. And, don't be, so that is that. So, whether it's the camels for functions, or whether they say that, it's this, or the, Jallikattu in Kerala, and these kind of, everywhere, kind of festivals which I've stopped celebrating or having fireworks in my house for almost 8, 9, 10 years, maybe more. Not at all. Even like sometimes somebody says, I said, what about the birds and the animals which get so scared and frightened? And the pollution we are creating, not just for animals, but for the humans. How many people have got asthma? And, people leave home and go away to places where they don't celebrate Diwali. Similarly, whether it's, we used to play Holi as children in places like Nagpur and, where we were growing up. And the whole night we used to have that tesuka fool, and we used to kind of burn it the whole night in big drum and play Holi with that color. I'm so happy that I've seen today's world and I've seen the yesteryear.
Yes,
so I feel
very true.
I feel I'm a very privileged person, because I've been to a village school when we were in Madhya Pradesh, maybe for a year, but I remember sitting behind my servant going on a bicycle. So it just makes you grow as a human being.
Yes.
Because, city children are not exposed to, and then sitting on the floor and writing on a slate. What a joy when I think back about those days and today. And then I went to Bombay to one of the fanciest schools, and then went to a great college, and then, I traveled half the world like you have, maybe more. It just makes you grow, and I feel that is why children need to travel, and we need so much to travel in our own country.
Yes.
That is how you learn your geography better than reading them in books. And, now every mother is a tiger mother, because they give so much of information. My little 7-year-old is extremely bright, and, he's perfect in everything else. And I feel it's too perfect to be, human sometimes.
Absolutely.
But it's great. He's a lovely child. But what I'm saying is that it's so important to be able to not go to schools or just play for one day and just stay back, do your own thing. But no, things have changed, and best is to let everyone do it their way.
Absolutely.
But yes, we do need to do a lot with the animals, whether it's the elephants. We fought for the elephants and, working elephants. In Jaipur, we discontinued the rides for, we signed an MOU with a couple of previous governments that there should not be more than 3 rides in summers, and it should be so many hours early morning or late evening, means later hours of the afternoon. But everything's come back to normal, because at the end of the day, everything is about profit making. Everything is what is the bottom line. And believe you me, it's so sad that there is so much corruption in every way. The only thing we can do is whatever we can do best, we should, and not worry, because things have got better. And there are laws, but unfortunately our own faucets don't know what the laws are. So tomorrow, if I call a policeman and said this card I've stopped camel carts on the way were overcrowded and the poor, or a horse has fallen down. And they don't know how many kilos is it. So sensitization, but I think with a country like ours, which is so humongous, if the intention is right, it can happen. Like it happened in Singapore. Once the Prime Minister was asked, the previous one who died was a great guy who changed the face of Singapore. That how do you manage it? He said it's two things. He said once you make laws and then you just follow them. And there's no other way. There's no other way.
Absolutely. You just mentioned the right person. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, the father of
Lee Kuan Yew.
Lee Kuan Yew, the father of Singapore, I believe, because living there 10 years of my life, almost a decade of my life, was, from what I have learned and with my experience, it was very simple. There was one important thing which he mentioned. There is a video also of one of the person who was involved with him, which he mentioned very clearly. The reason they were able to implement all this was they put their Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, LKY as they call him, he put his foot down against corruption. And there is an instance which is mentioned even out there, that one of his ministers traveled in a plane with one of the business families, and the moment he came back to Singapore, landed back, he was immediately imprisoned, and that's it. So you see, it is, I believe, you need to set the precedent right. And I believe if the corruption needs to go down or anything, it needs to start right at the top rather than at the bottom, because
and unfortunately ours is at the bottom, so it's always the poor people who get ostracized.
Yes,
and the rich get away. Yeah. And so it's extremely sad.
Let's not get into that.
Yes.